I'm Rich Andreski, Bureau Chief for Public Transportation at the Connecticut Department of Transportation. And I'd like to welcome you to Along the Lines, a podcast series where we'll explore current issues and ideas on Connecticut's public transportation system. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Along the Lines. I'm your host, Rich Andreski. Imagine if there was one transit pass that would give you unlimited rides on any public transportation service in Connecticut, bus or train, for a nominal fee. Well, that pass is a reality for tens of thousands of students at Connecticut's community colleges and state universities. The UPass CT program features unlimited use of any public transportation service within the state of Connecticut, including local and express bus services and rides on Connecticut's rail system, including the New Haven Line, as well as Hartford Line and Shoreline East. Here at the Connecticut Department of Transportation, we're extremely proud of this program and the fact that this is the first and only program in the nation that offers comprehensive multimodal transportation access to students throughout the state. Since the program started just 4 years ago, students have used their UPass to take over 5.5 million bus trips and 300,000 rides on Hartford Line and Shoreline East. With me today to talk about the impact of UPass CT and its potential growth are Lisa Rivers, Transit Manager at the Connecticut Department of Transportation in the Bureau of Public Transportation, Randall Ward, Director of Student Activities at Capital Community College, and Cynthia Zuniga, a student and member of student government at Capital Community College. Welcome to the program, everyone.
Good morning.
So thank you to the three of you for making time for this chat today. I'm really excited to get into this topic. And Lisa, you and I have been working together for some time, and you have been the creative energy behind UPass CT. So really glad to have you on the program, first time, by the way. So can you give us a little background on UPass CT and why the program started and how students can access this program?
Good morning, Rich. So the program started from actually several different directions at the same time. We were having conversations with the Connecticut state colleges and universities. And at the same time, we were having conversations with UConn. UConn was looking for improved access. They wanted a connection to Hartford from the Storrs campus. They were also very concerned about access for their grad students and making sure they were able to, live and commute to the Storrs campus. Central Connecticut State University and all of the Connecticut state colleges and universities, they were concerned about just getting access to school. You have community college students, state university students. Some days they have to make a decision as to whether or not they're going to go to class because they don't have the money for the bus fare to get there. And so they really wanted to offer something to their students that could improve their ability to get to the classes so that they could complete their goals, complete their credentials, complete their degrees, and move on in life. And we started developing this program, and it took a few iterations, took a couple of years of discussion, I would say, to come up with a price point and what we were willing to offer them. So from the Connecticut Department of Transportation's point of view, it's important to us that this program be available to all of the students at the university, rather than just the students that are currently using public transportation, because we want to get young people trying out the system and maybe getting used to using it, and maybe they will continue to use it for the rest of their life, or maybe they'll leave for a while and they'll come back at a later date, but they understand the system, they're comfortable using it, and we feel like this is a real benefit for our services out there.
Lisa, in 2017, we rebooted the UPass CT program, and it became a much more comprehensive and expansive program. Can you talk about a little bit about the scope and scale of UPass CT?
We did have university pass programs before this broader program, and those were programs that were set up between the individual colleges and their local transit system. But this program offers a much broader access. Well, UPass CT is available at nearly every public university in the state of Connecticut. But these students at all of these 19 universities and UConn campuses have access to the entire scope of public transportation across the state, both bus and rail, whether it's a CT transit bus or a Greater Bridgeport transit bus or a Norwalk bus, that all of those services are available to these students. So the program overall is just a much broader program access-wise, and it introduces a lot more people to our public transportation services.
Lisa, couldn't agree more. It's so important to get folks accustomed to using public transportation. Just like any product or service, when you capture people at a younger age, they're more likely to stick with those habits later in life. And I'm really excited. As excited as we are, though, about this program, we couldn't have done it without our partners at the universities and colleges. And Randall, really glad you're here today to talk a little bit about your perspective on the program and what it means to Capital Community College. Can you start by giving us a little overview of your role at Capital Community College?
Sure. Well, I have a couple of different hats that I've worn here at Capital Community College. One is working in the admissions office. And from that perspective, when I'm out recruiting and I'm meeting students, being able to share with them the UPass system is a great recruitment tool for us, because we have students that are in unique places throughout the state. And because of that, they have now, some encouragement to know that, hey, there is transportation to Capital that you may not have been aware of. So from an admissions perspective, this has always been a great talking point for me to help educate our potential students on how they can actually get to Capital Community College and various other places throughout the Harford County and throughout the whole entire state. From a student activities perspective, being that I work with so many students in our various clubs, as we have Cynthia here today, she does so many things in the community with her employment opportunities. She's a mom, so she does a lot of different things that requires her to get around the city and at various times. So a lot of our students come through our doors with those same types of responsibilities, where they need to go to a job or an interview or an internship, or they need to check in with parents or children of their own, or other responsibilities that they're taking care of. So from those two perspectives, I am constantly watching or observing students utilize the UPass system that impacts them in such a great way to help them get around. And it's convenient at times, even if you don't want to drive a car, because now you don't have to worry about the hustle and bustle of getting through traffic. You can just hop on the UPass. And honestly, I wish the UPass was there when I was in school. So those are just some of the examples I can provide from those two perspectives.
Randall, I got to thank you personally for embracing the program. When we had this idea of going statewide and making this something unique in the country, we really would have had nothing without the support of you and your colleagues at other universities and colleges. It's been a success only because you've embraced it, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
So Cynthia, you're the end user. You're why we all do this, and so I'm really curious to hear what you have to say about UPass. How has it impacted you personally?
I guess the only thing I can really say about the UPass is that it's definitely helped ease the burden for payment for me when it comes to financial situations. My family and I are not exactly well off, and with the UPass, it makes things a lot easier for me in order to get to and from school without me having to worry, oh God, I'm spending too much on this and I'm spending too much on that. And, it's as a college student and as a mom and someone who is often looking for some form of improving my financial situation, it's less of a burden for me to have to think about, It's like, oh, I have it in my little pocket. It's okay. I don't have to worry about taking out coins or asking my husband to help me out if he can buy another bus pass, which would be far more expensive. And I'm just like, it helps ease the burden overall.
Cynthia, I'm really glad to hear you say that. The idea that you don't have to think about how often you use public transportation because you're not incurring an expense. What kinds of services are you using on a typical day?
Well, considering I am terrified of driving, yeah, it's a phobia. It's a real thing. It's made things a lot easier because I'll go to like the bus stop, take out my little bus pass, just use the bus and everything. Arrive at school on time. Of course, I have to check the schedule, which is super easy when you just look it up on the phone. Google is your friend. And besides that, I most of the time walk if it's not too far, just for the sake of exercise, really. But if I'm running late or if I'm in a rush, yeah, I'll definitely take public transportation. And it definitely saves me on Uber because those are expensive.
No doubt. And, we hear a lot from people like yourself, but also from commuters that may not be going to school that, transportation is something that we all experience, right? And driving is a very expensive way to get around. If you happen to feel comfortable driving and want to get your own vehicle, there's all sorts of costs that come with that, other than the fact that you're in traffic and having to pay attention to the road. You've got the costs of fuel, payments on the vehicle, insurance. It is a costly proposition. So really excited, remembering back to my college days as well. It's really important that we feel very strongly about offering this service to students. And I'm wondering, Randall, if this has helped you in terms of the value proposition as students look at coming to Connecticut or enrolling at Capital Community College. Has this come up in conversations at all with prospective students?
Absolutely. As an example, I had a student who was way deep out in New Britain, and they had never used the system before, or the UPass system. And I sat with that student to explain with them how to use our UPass system. And they were so excited that they could actually get to school and come back home on this round trip late in the evening. So the value that it has, it really sparks a lot of positive conversation around transportation with various students in very unique parts of the state who are deciding, based on the logistics of traveling, which school should I go to, which one makes the most sense based on transportation. And these are conversations that I consistently have when I'm out in the community speaking to various potential students. So the value that UPass has definitely built a lot of leverage for us to, make a case that, hey, this is why this is a good opportunity and why you should come to Capital Community College.
I'm really, really glad to hear that. And I know Lisa Rivers and I have worked together for some time, and I know Lisa is passionate about helping people. So great to hear you say that, Randall. And Lisa, I'm wondering if you would want to weigh in on Randall's thoughts in terms of how we see this program helping people today and evolving to help more people in the future.
It's interesting. I am actually a graduate of UConn, and I was at the Storrs campus for 4 years. And I look at this program now and I say, boy, all those times driving back and forth to campus, I would stay there during the week. My dad would come up and pick me up. My boyfriend would drop me off, that kind of stuff. And then eventually I did wind up having a car on campus, but it broke down like 2 months before graduation. And it was just so much of a back and forth, and the miles and the fuel and the emissions and all. And I look at the UPass program and the new 913 express bus route. So on Friday, I could have taken the 913 into Hartford. I could have gotten on Hartford line, taken the train right down to Berlin where I grew up, and I could have done the reverse on Sunday. And I think of all the hours spent driving back and forth to school. For me, the program as a whole really has the ability to improve people's lives, and giving them, reliable access to education, and by giving them the ability to actually get to class, get to their lab, get to their internships, whatever that might be, because they have that UPass in their pocket.
And Lisa, you and I are students of public transportation. I know we try to stay current in our industry. And we hear all the time, do we not, that the younger generation has no intention in many cases of getting a car. In fact, individuals are deferring getting a driver's license. I think we heard from Cynthia. It's no fun to be on the roads, and many people by choice, never mind the expense, but by choice are deciding not to get a driver's license.
And we've been rolling out free Wi-Fi on our new CT Transit buses. Whenever we have new buses that we purchase, we include the Wi-Fi system, like we have on our CT Fast Track system, and we have on our Express bus system. So you have the ability to be doing work while you're on the bus.
That is the certainly the future, and it's encouraging to see. And one of the other things we hear often is that we're not necessarily always retaining the young people here in Connecticut, that they may come here to go to school, but they might go and move to Boston or New York or elsewhere. And, arguably making our public transportation more accessible definitely has, benefits to quality of life, improves access. And so maybe folks will decide this is just another reason to choose to settle down, just the ease of getting around here in Connecticut. So, we're excited about what we've done here in Connecticut. It's really a national profile program. We haven't bragged about it too much, but when we look around the country, a lot of UPass programs are very localized and customized. And to our knowledge, there's really no other state that's doing this at the statewide level. So we're really excited about that, but we also are excited about the prospect of sort of building out this program to other partners. So Lisa, what can you tell us in terms of growth opportunity around this program?
Well, growth opportunity, we've been contacted by the private colleges and universities. So right now the program is only open to the state colleges and universities, but we have been contacted by those private colleges in the state. I am contacted by all sorts of smaller programs. There's a whole lot of interest in the UPass CT program. So what had happened in the 2021 legislative session, we had some new statutes created that introduced something called CT Pass. And that opens up a pass program that would be something that is based on workforce development. So if we develop relationships with the workforce boards, with our Department of Labor, with the Office of Higher Education, and with the private colleges, with apprenticeship programs, it's looking at developing pass programs to improve, again, access to education and access to employment with reliable transportation on public transportation.
Exciting time. And I guess, evidence of success is when others want to be a part of it, right? So we have definitely lots of interest right now. Yep. From all sorts of educational institutions, not-for-profit, workforce training organizations, and the Connecticut legislature has been very interested in the program as well. So very encouraging to see the interest. I want to double back with our college partners here. And Randall, a question for you. If I'm a student right now listening to this podcast and I'm not currently part of the UPass program, how do I go about getting my UPass?
It's quite simple. All students have access to the UPass by going to our bursar's office. And I'm pretty sure that's how all of our schools work. All you need is your student ID and your student schedule, and you'll be issued your UPass. It's really simple and easy to use, and it just provides a lot of opportunities for you to travel. So again, they just go down to our student affairs department in the bursar's office area. And with that ID and that schedule, and they can access a UPass.
And no additional charge, correct?
No.
Yeah, that's the breakthrough for us in this and how we've approached it, which is to the student, this is a free program. There's no additional charge. You're already eligible. So if you go to a Connecticut state university or college, you're eligible for a UPass. So Lisa, this UPass CT program has been hugely popular. I'm wondering if you can give a little dimension to that and talk about how many schools are participating and sort of, the scope and scale of what we're doing here.
Well, for Connecticut state colleges and universities, there's actually only three of their schools that are not participating. We are in talks with Naugatuck Valley, though, about adding them to the program. On the UConn side, initially it was only Storrs, Hartford, and Stamford, but we have since added the UConn Law School and UConn in Waterbury. So we now have essentially 19 schools and or campuses that are open under the program.
Yeah, it's unlike anything we're aware of nationally. This program has had widespread adoption, and it's a combination, I think, of what it means to students and universities as much as it is the extensiveness of our public transportation network.
Yeah, I saw a recent article, Georgetown University having access now to the metro system in Washington, D.C., and I'm thinking to myself, well, gee, that's great, but what about all the other universities in the city of Washington?
No doubt. It's good to be a leader. And I'm really glad. Thank you for all you're doing to develop and promote the program. So a little bit, just if we could, just a little bit about your hopes and aspirations, Cynthia and Randall, in terms of the future of public transportation. It's a question I like to ask all of our guests. Cynthia, you're an avid user, so you're arguably one of the best people to talk to about this. Where do you hope we make investments in the future? What would you like to see from your public transportation system?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about it, but if I could possibly change something is that, people know that they can get their UPass, but they don't know what else they could do with it beyond just using, the bus, and how far. It would be really nice if they could tell us, how far can you go, like from what city to another city, like how far can it go, so that they are more interested in actually having to take the bus as opposed to having to drive or have someone else drive them over here. Because I know I have a friend, actually my vice president of my other club. He comes all the way from, I don't know, so far. I don't even remember the city where he comes from, but he has his father drop him off here. Until, I was like, hey, you could just get a bus pass. I think it would be much simpler for you than you having to wait for your dad to come and pick you up or drop you off. And he was like, he knew that he could get the city bus. He just didn't know how far he could go with that city bus. He just thought it was all surrounded just in Hartford. And I was like, hon, it's Connecticut, not Hartford specifically. And he was like, oh, wait, really? That's so dope. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. No, so he went and got a bus pass, and, now he comes by bus, which, every now and then he still relies on his father to come and pick him up every now and then, but he's far more independent. He's not having to wait on someone to come and pick him up, or who knows if he has to stay somewhere to kind of lollygag around just while waiting for his father to pick him up. So he'll leave by bus instead of having to deal with, his all this waiting and all this nonsense, really. So that would be really nice if someone knew how far they can go and how much they can travel with the UPass.
Cynthia, that's priceless feedback. We're going to do just that. We need to do a better job of promoting the program with our partners. I also want to give a plug for our statewide system. You're absolutely right. Border to border, public transportation is in many places in the state. It's not just in the big cities, it's in the suburbs, and even our rural communities in many cases have public transportation. And our rail system is also extensive. We have 6 rail lines. You can travel, for example, from New Haven to Stamford using these U-passes. So very well said. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. And Randall, I'm wondering, from your perspective going forward, what are some of the things that you'd like to see in terms of, the evolution of the PASS program and or investment in public transportation?
Right. And I would like to kind of piggyback off of what Cynthia said is just educating the students on how far or what types of accessibility they have with that U-Pass. Because I myself, I've used the CT Rail, and it is such an awesome travel experience in the state of Connecticut. I'm so glad that they've installed that. And I don't know that students know that they can actually use their U-Pass for that. So to educate our students more through the advertising as to how they can actually use that U-Pass, I think that would be phenomenal. So that if there's some type of image, or you can see a student going from, Hartford to the New Haven line to catch a Metro North to go to New York at almost no expense really to them. I think that is awesome to do, to just educate our students more on how much power they have with the U-Pass and not just consider it a local tool. This is something that you can utilize statewide. So that's what I envision, just seeing more advertisement around the uses of the U-Pass.
Yeah, we'd like to work with you, Randall, on reaching out to maybe some of the current non-users, those that are driving, and perhaps find out a little more about either maybe it's a question of awareness of the program, or perhaps they just haven't realized the full scope of what U-Pass can do for them.
Right. I don't think a lot of our commuting students, I think we get so stigmatized by public transportation that we don't really see the benefit, and we get consumed in our own world. Because for me, when I was attending Capital and Central Connecticut, I oftentimes would just pay to catch the bus once I learned about shuttle services and buses, kind of like how Cynthia's story was revealed to her vice president. Someone shared that with me. I learned about it through conversation of how I can utilize the bus to my advantage. So our commuters really should consider this because I don't think they are aware of what savings they could have by utilizing the bus. Like it was mentioned earlier, gas, the mental power that's used to get to and from driving, attention span, all of those things affect you throughout the day. And I don't think they understand the peace that they can get by using public transportation. So I think commuters also need to be educated as well.
Very well said, and I couldn't agree more. Randall and Cynthia, thank you for making the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
It's been a pleasure to have you both on the program. Your insights on U-Pass are really helpful, and really glad that we can partner with you, Randall, at Capital Community College. This program wouldn't work without our partners at the colleges and universities. And Cynthia, hope to see you on the bus one day. Thank you for continuing to ride CT Transit, and good luck with finals.
Thank you. I'm halfway done.
And Lisa Rivers, thank you. It's always good to work with you here at Connecticut DOT. Thank you for all you do around U-Pass and partnering with the colleges and universities. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Remember, you can find previous episodes of Along the Lines on your favorite podcast platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud. And with that, I'm Rich Andreski, and this has been another episode of Along the Lines. Thanks for listening to this episode of Along the Lines. This is your host, Rich Andreski. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please remember to subscribe and share.